I'm Haley B. Miller, and this is Ohio Politics Explained, a podcast where you give us 15 minutes and we give you all the news you need to sound smart and impress your friends. Welcome back to Ohio Politics Explained, the first episode of 2026. Our crew took a break for the winter holiday, but we're back and ready to dissect what's already been an action-packed year. The U.S. attacked Venezuela, social media is spreading rumors about Columbus daycares, and the candidates for Ohio governor picked their running mates. Joining me to discuss it all is Jesse Balmert, fresh off a long hike in Patagonia.
Yeah, that was tremendous. I recommend hanging out with penguins. But welcome to 2026, year of the gubernatorial election.
Columbus is almost as nice.
Sure.
Let's start with the big news of this week, the governor's race. In case you forgot, Republican Vivek Ramaswamy and Democrat Amy Acton are likely to face each other in the race to replace Governor Mike DeWine. And they finally have running mates. Ramaswamy went with Ohio Senate President Rob McCauley, and Acton picked David Pepper, the former head of the Ohio Democratic Party. What do McCauley and Pepper bring to the table?
Well, so both Vivek Ramaswamy and former Ohio Department of Health Director Dr. Amy Acton have never run statewide elections before. This is Amy Acton's first campaign, and Vivek Ramaswamy ran for president against a variety of Republicans, dropped out and endorsed President Donald Trump, who ultimately won the race. So they just don't have a lot of, political elected experience. And in a lot of ways, that's part of their brand, that they're the newcomers, the fresh face, the change candidate, certainly different than Governor Mike DeWine with his decades and decades of political experience. But I think both of them chose to kind of balance their ticket with someone with more political experience in Ohio. So obviously, Senate President Rob McCauley has been an elected official for several years now, first in the House and then in the Ohio Senate, where he is the leader at present. And then David Pepper, who was the pick for Dr. Acton, is someone who's been involved in politics for quite some time. He was a candidate and successful in Cincinnati, but has lost two statewide races for state auditor and state attorney general, and really hasn't been on the ticket for at least a decade.
Yeah, it was interesting to see who they finally decided on. I think with Ramaswamy in particular, we saw a lot of rumors flying around about who he would pick to run with him. And with McCauley being Ramaswamy's pick for LG, that means he will not be running for Congress in the 9th Congressional District, which he had been considering, and Ohio's new congressional map made that possible for him. But this leaves the Republican primary in that race officially at 3 candidates, but I think State Rep Josh Williams is probably the favorite candidate, the one most likely to clear the primary and take on longtime Congresswoman Marcy Kaptur.
Yeah, in a state that's increasingly red, it really is kind of an embarrassment of riches for the Republican Party. There are a number of candidates with significant experience and a lot of positions that they're trying to fill. And so we're actually finding ourselves with Republican primaries, which is interesting. We might have one in the treasurer's race, like you said, the 9th Congressional District. There's just a lot of people looking for a lot of spots.
And in the vein of people who will not be running for re-election, Governor Mike DeWine, he finally came out this week and endorsed Ramaswamy. He had always said he was going to support the Republican nominee for governor, but he took his time with this one, and Ramaswamy from the get-go was not his first choice to be his successor.
Yeah, this has been an interesting kind of side plot because Governor Mike DeWine is someone who really represents what the Republican Party has been over the years and perhaps is not anymore going forward. Certainly, he still has influence and power in the state of Ohio and knows how to get things done. But he is a lame duck for all intents and purposes. And he also worked pretty closely with Amy Acton when she was his pick for the Department of Health Director. He's spoken favorably of her and defended his decisions during the COVID-19 pandemic, which will certainly be a talking point in the governor's race in 2026. So but Mike DeWine, at the end of the day, is a Republican, is going to support the Republican candidate, and decided to make that known on the same day that Ramaswamy picked a kind of more establishment candidate in Rob McCauley to be his running mate.
And I kind of wonder if that was helpful for DeWine. I mean, as you said, he was always going to support the Republican, but maybe it made him feel a little bit better to see someone he knows well, to see someone he knows has been in the legislature for a long time and has worked with, you know, to have that kind of experience on the ticket as we go forward.
Yeah, I think so. That was basically in line with his comments about the ticket. I think Ramaswamy also has a lot of ideas for the direction that Ohio should go, certainly reducing taxes, eliminating income taxes, reducing property taxes. And Mike DeWine has been hesitant to do things like eliminate income taxes entirely, saying that this isn't something businesses are clamoring for. So even though they're members of the same party, they certainly have different visions for the future of Ohio.
Yeah, for sure. Okay, our next topic is daycares. For a few weeks now, daycares in Columbus have been accused of fraud, specifically pretending to enroll children to get money from the state. Most of these facilities are run by Somalis. These claims, which aren't supported by evidence at this point, blew up on social media after similar allegations in Minnesota, which has the largest Somali population in the U.S. Most Ohio Republicans have called for more oversight, more information, but DeWine is pretty fed up with it all.
Yeah, this is interesting. It almost harkens back to the whole Springfield situation and the Haitian immigrants eating cats and dogs, which obviously they were not, where you have like this kind of minority immigrant population that is the source of much kind of right-wing conspiracy hatred. And then you have Mike DeWine saying, you know, no, let's, you know, live in the world of facts and information. But I think it is hard sometimes, like once the story has already like, you know, the train has left the station on this, like are people listening to Mike DeWine's like detailed analysis of like how we investigate fraud or don't investigate fraud in Ohio daycares and saying, oh yes, I've been convinced now.
Right. And I think the big thing for him has been the fact that Ohio pays for childcare based on attendance, not enrollment. That's different than what other states do. That is also the preference of the Trump administration, which is currently looking into childcare systems in Ohio and across the country. So DeWine feels like we've already got a good system in place. He was also pretty critical of some of the videos that you've seen on social media with people trying to enter these facilities and saying, well, I can't get in this daycare, so it must not actually be open. And DeWine was like, we don't let random adults into daycare where children are present.
Yeah, I think as anyone who's followed Governor Mike DeWine knows, just children, their care and their, you know, future and preservation is probably his number one issue as a politician and as a governor. And so this certainly hits squarely in his like field of interests and isn't just going to let this keep going on. I think a lot of like the concerns and allegations have like been kind of related to like computer glitches or mistakes or errors versus like a widespread fraud situation. But certainly department is always open to people, you know, reporting fraud, and they want to investigate any true claims.
Right. And the Ohio Department of Children and Youth, the Ohio Auditor's Office, you know, said they're always accepting tips for this kind of stuff. And one more thing before you go. As you all know, the U.S. attacked Venezuela, captured its former leader, and will run Venezuela for now, whatever that ends up looking like. Ohio Democrats believe the Trump administration overstepped, but Republicans are on board, especially Senator Bernie Moreno, a Colombian native who's been a leading voice on Latin American relations. This will likely be an issue that comes up in Ohio's Senate race, so stay tuned.